In this video, we'll take a look at some examples of selectors. So when we write asterisk, it is known as the universal selector. That means it will select all the elements on the page. Suppose I set the font size to 12 pixels. It will set the font size to 12 pixels for all the elements on the page. Now, the elements where the font size is not 12 pixels are these elements, right? Because the font size is already being set for these elements, right? And since this is a more specific selector compared to this one, this is a generic one, right? The specific selector takes more precedence. So if we inspect this element over here, you will notice that the font size is coming from the universal selector, right? So it is getting applied for all of these elements except for these elements, and that is happening because this class is taking precedence over the universal selector, right? Another common pattern that you will see a lot is this kind of a pattern where we have two classes written together. So suppose we want to target this element, only this element. So we will say text xl dot text slate blue. Okay, so we want to target this element, and for this element we want to give it a background color of say pale golden rod. Let's save this, and now you can see all the elements which have text XL and text slate blue, for them the background is getting set to this color, right? And there is another pattern. Suppose I just copy this, okay, and I add a space between these two classes, okay? The meaning of this selector is now completely different. It will select this element whose parent element has this class, right? So when you hover over a particular selector, it will show you the HTML structure that it is expecting. So over here it is expecting that the parent element has the text XL class and the child element has the text slate blue class. Only those elements will get selected and this color will be applied to them. Whereas if we take a look at this one, it will target only those elements which have the text XL class followed by the text slate blue class together, right? So this is another cool feature provided by VS Code, that whenever you're hovering over a particular selector, it will tell you the element for which this rule will get applied. Okay, so let's create a structure like this. There's another element known as the div, and it basically acts as a container element, and inside that we place a paragraph. So this para is inside a div, and let's give this the class text slate blue, and let's give this the class text XL, right? So now if you notice that this element, its background is getting set to pale golden rod. So if you notice over here, this paragraph, its background color is getting set to pale golden red, right? So now let's take a look at another set of selectors known as combinators. So combinators allow us to select elements based on their position with respect to other elements. Let's add a style tag over here. So let's create a descendant combinator. So we'll write a div followed by a paragraph. When we write a selector like this, it basically means it will select all paragraphs which are present inside a div tag. Okay, so we'll set the color to royal blue. Okay, if you notice over here, this is a paragraph, right? But it is not present inside a div tag. So I'll create a div tag over here. This is a div, and I'll place a paragraph inside it. This para is inside the div, and now you can see its color is royal blue. Similarly, if I place another paragraph over here, all right, this is another para, you can see even its color is blue. Now we'll make a slight modification to this rule. We'll add a greater than sign over here and change the color to green yellow. Okay, so what this rule basically means is that all the paragraphs which are direct descendants of the div tag, for them they will appear in the green yellow color, right? So this paragraph and this paragraph, it is a direct descendant of of this div tag, right? They will start appearing in this green yellow color. But suppose I add a anchor tag over here, okay, and I'll add a paragraph over here, and I'll just say some link inside a para, okay. So for this, it is being shown in this royal blue color because it is no longer a direct descendant of this div element. It's a direct descendant of this anchor tag, right? Whereas these elements are direct descendants, so for them this rule is getting applied, and for this one this rule is getting applied. So this is targeting all the paragraphs which appear inside the div tag, okay. So this kind of selector is known as a child combinator, okay. Then there is another kind of combinator which is known as the next sibling combinator. So what this basically does is that suppose I have a paragraph immediately after my div tag. So this is after the div tag, and I want to target this, right? So I want to target all such paragraphs which appear immediately after a div tag, okay. So how do I write this? I will say div plus p, okay. I'll give them the crimson color, okay. And if you notice over here, this paragraph is immediately after the div tag, so it is being shown in the crimson color, right? If I add another paragraph over here, this is another para after the div, you will notice it is not being shown in the crimson color. So this is happening because this targets only those elements which appear immediately after the div tag. And suppose I have another div and I have another paragraph. So this is again followed by, this is again immediately followed by a div tag. So it will also appear in the crimson color. And there is another combinator known as the subsequent sibling combinator. And what I'll do is I'll add a unordered list, and let's add some list items. Let me add some fruits, oranges and apples. So what I'd like to do is whenever a list is appearing after a paragraph, we'll show it in a different color. What we will do is we'll say P and we'll make use of the till sign, and we'll use the unordered list tag over here, and we'll say that the color should be coral, okay. So now you see this list is appearing in coral color. Suppose I move this list from here to here, right, and save it, you will notice that this list is no longer appearing in the coral color. And if I place it anywhere after a paragraph, so this is where our first paragraph is appearing. If I place it here, you'll notice that it is now appearing in this coral color. So this combinator basically selects all unordered lists that appear after a paragraph. So these are some examples of combinators, and I hope these are all clear to you. You can help me grow by liking this video and subscribing to my channel. If you wish to receive notifications about any new content from this channel, hit the bell icon.